Prabhupada nodding, proving that this is a waste of time. I want to stop this to answer all these things. How are you? By saving his time and energy, he said he could work on his book writing. Devotees assured him that everyone would appreciate this schedule and would be happy that he was working on the 10th canto. I think I shall be able to work from today, Prabhupada declared. Now I have got a very nice place, full freedom, so there will be no difficulty. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 18, entitled Diti Vows to Kill King Indra, text number 72 onwards. Okay, so I'll do the first few and then we can do purport one together. Kritume Saptada Garba Asan Sapta Kumaraka Tipi Chai Kai Kasho Vrikna Saptada Napimam Rire. First I cut the child and the woman into 7 pieces, which became 7 children. Then I cut each of the children into 7 pieces again. By the grace of the Supreme Lord, however, none of them died. Tatas tat paramashcharyam vikshya vyavasitam maya mahapurusha pujaya siddhi kapyanushangini. My dear mother, when I saw that all 49 sons were alive, I was certainly struck with wonder. I decided that this was a secondary result of your having regularly executed devotional service and worship of Lord Vishnu. Sorry, did you say start at 72? All right, okay, it's just the bookmark was somewhere else. Okay, so we can do this one together. Tatas, tat, paramashcharyam, tatas tat paramashcharyam, vikshya vyavasitam maya vikshya vyavasitam.
Siddhikapi anusangini tata Paramascharyam, great wonder. Viksha, seeing. Vyavasitam, it was decided. Maya, by me. Mahapurusha, of Lord Vishnu. Pujaya, of worship. Siddhi, result. Kapi, son. Anushangini, secondary.
Translation. My dear mother, when I saw that all 49 sons were alive, I was certainly struck with wonder. I decided that this was a secondary result of your having regularly executed devotional service and worship of Lord Vishnu. Please repeat, my dear mother.
My dear mother,
when I saw that all 49 sons were alive,
when I saw that all 49 sons were alive,
I was certainly struck with wonder.
I was certainly struck with wonder.
I decided that this was a secondary result.
I decided that this was a secondary result
of your having regularly executed devotional service.
of your having regularly executed devotional service
In worship of Lord Vishnu.
in worship of Lord Vishnu. Jai.
For one who engages in worshiping Lord Vishnu, nothing is really wonderful. That is a fact. Bhagavad Gita 1878, it is said, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna Yatra Prakto Danyuta Tatra Shrir Vijayo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Maha. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Yogeshwar is the supreme personality of Godhead, the master of all mystic yoga, who can do anything and everything he likes. This is the omnipotence of the Supreme Lord. For one who pleases the Supreme Lord, no achievement is wonderful. Everything is possible for him. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Dear mother, when I saw that all 49 sons were alive, I was certainly struck with wonder. I decided that this was a secondary result of your having regular executed devotional service and worship of Lord Vishnu. So by worshipping of Lord Vishnu, then
Indra.
the secondary result is.
The sons are saved.
So some of you may be aware of the saying, Hare Krishna Rakike, Rake Krishna Rake. If Krishna wants to kill me, who can save me? And if Krishna wants to save me, who can kill me?
So Diti wanted a son who would be able to kill Indra. Indra found out about it and he wanted to stop that before it happened. He wanted to nip it at the bud. But Krishna had another plan. So he tried with his mystic powers. He entered into the womb and tried to kill the unborn child of Mother Diti. But Krishna didn't allow it to happen. She allowed, after he divided, he cut into 7 pieces, and then each piece another 7 pieces, 49. And from that came the 49 Maruts, who were protected. They weren't. he wasn't able to kill them. So in this regard, whatever his intention was, then it was frustrated, and whatever Diti's original intention was, she was also purified. This was the intelligence of Kashyapa Muni. He says that if you follow this, you'll get an enemy who'll be able to kill Indra. Now, he didn't say he would kill, but he said he'd be able to. And so he's very diplomatic. But if you don't, then what was the result? Do you remember? That the person would be a friend of the demigods. So either way, he was creating some situation whereby following the rules and regulations very strictly, she would become a devotee. And if not, she wouldn't get what she wanted. But what she would get would also not harm her. So in either way, he was taking responsibility for his wife, that even though her intention was to kill Indra, then he wanted the outcome either way to be auspicious and not harmful to Indra or to his wife. So such is the intelligence of these devotees, they can solve problems like this. And there are many examples. Can anyone give an example of someone who tried to kill Krishna, but no matter what they did, they couldn't? Kamsa? Yeah, that's right. Also, of examples of someone who tried to kill a devotee. Who was that? Yeah, Hiranyakashipu tried to kill Prahlad Maharaj. And he tried in so many ways. He was a very, very intelligent person. You know, sometimes we think these demons are, you know, just like some gross, monstery type thing, but actually it's the intelligence, it's their consciousness which is demoniac, not necessarily their form. Sometimes these demons would have a great beauty. You know, why would they want to be ugly if they've got such power? You know, why would they want to simply be unattractive? They want to enjoy. They don't want to be of a grotesque form. So they had great strength and great fame, great beauty, and even great knowledge. They would know all the yagyas, etc., to perform, so that they could bring benefit upon themselves and their kin. And Hiranyakashipu, he was no exception, far from it. So he was so intelligent that he tried to figure out every possible way that one could be killed. And because he performed some great austerities, on account of that, he got audience of Lord Brahma. And he asked for the benediction to be immortal. And he said, my dear Hiranyakashipu, even that I cannot do. Because my life is, how long is the life of Brahma? 1,000 Divya Yugas, is it? Or is that one day? That's one day. So very, very long time that we can't even remember. It's so he says, I'm not immortal, so I can't give you what I don't have. He says, okay. So and he's thinking, well, I'm smarter than this demigod, so let me just get all the benedictions from him. Okay, then make sure that I can't be killed in the day or the night. Okay, that's fine. Okay, I've got that covered. Can't be killed any time. Neither in the land nor in the sky. I comply. So he said, that's fine. You can't be killed in the land or in the sky by neither a man or a beast. That's the least. And can't be killed by any weapon. So he considered every way you could be killed, you know, inside and outside. He says, great, now I'm immortal. Death, close your portal. I'm taking this from a dramatic narration, actually. I'm not making this up spontaneously. I, Hiranyakashipu, am free. Now everyone worship me. Because this was his demoniac mentality. He wanted everybody to focus on him as the center of attention, and that he would be the most worshipful. He's indestructible, he's immortal. Nobody can kill him, no matter what they do. He's got the benediction from Lord Brahma, and he's more intelligent than Lord Brahma, because even Brahma isn't immortal, but I managed to get enough benedictions out of him that I've snookered everybody. Nobody can cause my death. But he didn't take into account that Lord Vishnu is the super soul within everyone's heart. And the special name given to Lord Vishnu, protector of his devotees, that name is Bhakta.
Vatsala, protector of the Bhaktas. And we see that even Krishna, he was Arjuna's charioteer in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and he vowed not to take up any arms in the battle. But Bhishma Dev wanted to glorify Krishna, so he fought so hard against Arjuna that it was inevitable that Arjuna was going to be slain unless Krishna intervened. So Bhima made Krishna break his promise, not for the purpose to show that Krishna was immoral and doesn't keep his word, but to show that he will break his promise, he will break his own word for the protection of his devotee. So this just goes to show that if we become a devotee of Krishna, there's nothing that will get in the way of Krishna protecting us. People take to martial arts, right? They take to different forms. Anyone done any martial arts here? What did you do? Okay. Mm-hmm. And there's always someone better than you, though, isn't there? Yeah, there's always someone better. And even if you're the greatest, like Muhammad Ali, he was the greatest, wasn't he? Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. That was his mantra, wasn't it? And he was the greatest at one time, but for how long? Even if you rise to the pinnacle of that. And I knew one friend back in my hometown who was a teacher in Aikido, and he was very much respected even by all the thugs, the local thugs. Nobody would touch him because they thought, well, this guy, he might look like, a Slim Jim. He doesn't look like much, but he's so expert. Whatever energy you try to exert on him, he'll turn it back on you. And they've seen a few demonstrations where he could just lead somebody around the room by a pinky, and whatever they did, he would just get them on the floor. He was expert. He was a teacher. But he wasn't able to defend himself against cancer. Something internally took him. So we may try to spend so much time trying to defend ourselves. These are the 4 animal propensities: eating, sleeping, mating, defending. And out of these 4, then Prabhupada said actually defending is the most difficult one to give up. Because sometimes people can become celibate, right? They can give up illicit sex, mating. Eating, people can become very austere with their eating, if they want to become a fashion model or they want to get into a certain weight category for a sport or something like that. They can be austere with their eating. Or if you want some material benefits, sometimes people fast for various benefits. So eating, sleeping, sleeping. Sometimes people can give up sleep to attain some goal. But giving up defending is more difficult, because natural propensity is to defend. If someone comes to cause harm, natural thing is to give some defense, whether that harm is physical, psychological, or verbal. So this means to become detached and to accept our destiny. So the highest type, I remember one devotee tell me that there's various levels of self-defense. One is that you learn some martial art, you know how to do various chops and defense moves and throws, etc. And then another one is that you pray to some deity like Hanuman or Durga, that they empower you, and then you can defend yourself like that. Another one is that actually the deity comes and does the defending for you, and you don't do anything, just like Jad Bharat in the 5th canto, right? He was taken by some Kali worshippers, and they were going to offer him as some human sacrifice. But because he was such a great devotee, they didn't realize they had captured a great devotee. And they were about to kill him and offer him to the goddess Kali, and she and her associates came off the altar and took out all the gundas, all the thugs. And don't think this is exaggeration. Just the other day, Gandaki was sharing with us an experience he had in Mayapur where he was actually tricked into going to some apparent darshan of Radha Krishna deities, and he was taken to some village, and it turned out there was a big grotesque deity of Kali, and he was to be on the menu. And yeah, he was in Mayapur at the time, and he escaped from Was it near Puri? Oh, right, okay, my mistake. Thank you. Okay, I can go to Mayapur now then. So And it was real, he was smart enough to recognize this wasn't what they promised it was going to be. And they asked the right questions, and he got a sense of what was happening. And he got out of there and lived to tell the tale. So, so on the other hand, Krishna will protect the devotee. No matter what Hiranyakashipu tried to do to kill Prahlad Maharaj, then he couldn't succeed. He tried to have him crushed under the foot of an elephant. Back in the day, they used to use elephants in warfare, the most powerful animal, and they were trained. They would get them drunk, and they were trained to charge and stampede, and they'd fix weapons onto their tusks, etc. And they could train them to act upon command. The mahout or the instructor would teach them how to act upon command. But so this elephant wouldn't stamp on Prahlad Maharaj. He lifted him upon his back and paraded victoriously, because Krishna's within the heart of the elephant too, so he instructed him what to do. And he tried to throw him from a cliff, and Krishna caught him. So many things. Of course, we don't take this, okay, let me see if Krishna will save me. I'm going down to the M74 and jump off the bridge, see if Krishna will catch me. Krishna's not our servant to be, acting as our servant upon our whim. It's not up to us to test Krishna. The test is upon us from Krishna. Prahlad Maharaj was tested in this regard. He never gave up his faith in Krishna. The circumstances came of their own accord, and he took shelter in Krishna. There was one occasion where Srila Prabhupada, it was practically, I think it was just before they had 26 2nd Avenue, before they had the first temple in New York. Prabhupada was staying with some youth who had a couple of bad habits, one of which was taking hallucinogenic drugs, and he could be quite moody. So one time he came back, and Prabhupada was sharing the flat with him, and Prabhupada commented that he left soap on the bottom of the shower. He said, can you please not leave it there? It's dangerous. We could slip and have an accident. And the guy just went crazy. So Prabhupada very quickly left and didn't return. And one devotee said to him, I thought you would, you just take shelter in Krishna. Why did you leave? He says, Krishna told me it was dangerous, so I left. Of course, this is the first thing they teach in martial arts as well, is to avoid the danger, isn't it? So Krishna's telling him, okay, this is a dangerous situation, now leave. But don't ignore Krishna. Say, no, you come and manifest here in your four-armed form with Sudarshan Chakra and take his head off. No, we don't do that. Krishna gives us some indication, here's some danger, leave. And Krishna gives the ability in the living entities to do that, to see the danger. But if they don't take the notice of it, then they have to take the result. So just as much as Prahlad Maharaj couldn't be killed by any means which Hiranyakashipu tried, then Hiranyakashipu could not by any means save himself from being killed in the end. So of course this is not Lord Nrsimhadev's appearance day, but the pastime is very relevant. So he said, I don't want to be killed in the day or night. He was killed in the twilight, which is neither day nor night. He wasn't killed indoors or outdoors. He was killed on the threshold of the building, which is neither. It's like they say, when the guy fell off the truck, where was he when he fell off the truck? He wasn't on the truck and he was not on the ground. He was in between, right? As he was falling. And neither in the sky or on the land, but he was on the lap of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, neither by man or beast, but by the Supreme Lord, who's neither. Not by any weapon, but by the nails of the Lord. So in every way, he kept Lord Nrsimhadev kept Lord Brahma's promises all intact. And he still was able to counter everything which Hiranyakashipu tried to put himself up as defense. So we see that this situation has come around because of, Indra's trying to defend his position, and
Mother Diti, she's trying to attack his position. She's upset with him because of what he did in the past, etc. But ultimately, because Vishnu was in the middle, then the resolution was there. So this can be the case that sometimes, in the Krishna conscious movement, we'll find all sorts of people from all sorts of backgrounds who you ordinarily wouldn't necessarily associate with. People from different social standings, people from different ways of thinking, different races, different castes, etc. So sometimes people have their own prejudices or limitations as to who they associate with. But when Krishna is in the center, then everything is resolved, as long as Krishna is there. And just like we had an example here, we had two devotees who used to travel together in a motorhome. One was a very good example of the son of the proletariat. His father was a union leader, and another one was a public schoolboy, very prim and proper, well educated, and he was brought up to consider that everybody there is just to serve your purposes. You're the creme de la creme, and everyone is there simply for you to use them to achieve your ends. So this is where he was brought up. But these two devotees, although they were chalk and cheese to the extreme, and it wasn't always without incident, but they served and did a tremendous service because they put Krishna in the middle. So these material differences, they're only a temporary thing. The eternal thing is Krishnera Nitya Das, that we are eternal servants of Krishna. So we may have a male form, female form. We may be brahmachari for some time, grihasta, vanaprastha, sannyas. Naham vipro nachana raptir napi vaishana sidranaham narchi graptir navanastu yatirva kintu projanikala pramananda pranamritabdir gopi bharta putkamalur dasa das and das. So Lord Chaitanya says, I'm neither brahmachari, grihasta, vanaprastha, sannyas. I'm not a shudra, not a kshatriya, not a vaishya. I'm not a brahmin, but I'm eternal servant of the servants of the milkmaids of Vraja. So this is our position. We shouldn't be too materially ambitious, thinking, what's our position? How do people see me? Our position is Dasa Anudas. Sometimes people mistakenly think that the guru, he's got some high position and people are just, he's a fat cat who's just living off the cream. He's living off the fat of the land, or who's living off the hard work and gullible surrender of other people. But that's not the case. The true guru means he's the actual greatest servant. He's serving everybody else. Have you ever experienced sometimes something happens to you and you kind of resent it? You think, oh, it's probably my karma, but I don't want to accept this. Maybe it's just me, but sometimes you think, oh, I've been a devotee, for so long. Why have to go through this? I thought things would have been better by now. But we have Krishna, either we have some karma or Krishna has some lesson he wants to teach us. So there's the primary cause of things and the secondary cause. The primary cause is that whatever happens to us is due to happen to us. Just like the famous Scots bard poet, Rabbi Burns said, what's for you will not go past you. What's for you will not go past you. So if we accept that and try not to be too defensive about what happens to us, we can see that someone may be the secondary cause of what happens to us. They may deliver the karma, but actually it gets delivered to us. Just like the postman, he brings a letter. It might be bad news, it might be good news, but you can't say the postman's leaving. You say, come back here, what's the meaning of this letter here? No, I'm not due to pay this bill. I paid this last week. You can't blame the postman for it. He's only delivering the letter. So someone delivers our karma. And if we blame them for it, then that means we're not accepting the reaction. We have to go through it again. So, of course, that doesn't mean to say that we can just go around saying, here's some karma for you, Prabhu, slap. It's just, if we're feeling a bit upset with someone and we just give them some difficult, we say, well, Prabhu, it must be your karma. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen. So then we invite more karma for ourselves. It's not up to us to become the judge of someone's karma. We don't understand what it is. It will come of its own accord. Whatever our plan is, then our happiness and distress is predestined because of what we did in our previous life. But we do have the free will of how we act and how we react in the circumstances when the karma comes. And sometimes we act in the proper devotional way, and sometimes we react in a way which is not so devotional, isn't it? So every day we've got some opportunity for learning. So we see here, although there's an enmity between Diti and Indra, then they were actually talking. It's a very good lesson for all of us. Just in the previous verse, Prabhupada was talking about that Diti explained to Indra without reservation what she wanted to do. Indra explained his intentions. Both of them, instead of being enemies, freely spoke the truth. This is a qualification that results from contact with Vishnu. Yes, Tibhaktir Bhagavatyut Akinchana, Sarvayar Gunais Tatra Samasate Sura. So if one develops a devotional attitude and becomes purified by worshipping the Supreme Lord, all good qualities are certainly manifested in that person. So just as we're talking about Hiranyakashipu, his brother Hiranyaksha, both of them were sworn enemies of Vishnu, and they decided they wanted to annihilate Vishnu. And they would do various things, like typically the demons, they understand that Vishnu is the devotees make offerings to Vishnu, that becomes his foodstuff, offerings of devotion. So they decide, okay, we'll stop the Brahmins making offerings, and this way we can starve Vishnu. They try to hold him hostage, right? They try to smoke him out, starve him. They try to lay siege upon him. But Vishnu's at Marama. He's not depending on anybody. And as Prabhupada says in this purport, he's free to do anything and everything. And the demonic mentality is that we want to be like that. We want to be unchecked, unaccountable. But actually, we're all accountable, like it or not. Every action has a reaction. So, so this leads to the demonic mentality, which is trying to take Krishna's position in some small way, trying to be the Lord over the material energy, trying to manipulate or exploit the resources of material nature for our own personal enjoyment, and not giving recognition to who is the actual proprietor. Bhoktaram Jagatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarvabhutanam Yapamam Shantam Richati. So Krishna, he's actually the only enjoyer of sacrifices. That doesn't mean to say that we all have to be miserable eternal servants. Sometimes that picture is painted in some religious movements that simply a life of service to God, and you think, well, maybe I'd rather go down below. There was that joke, right? Then the priest is saying to one of his congregation, who's a bit of a rogue, he says, "Oh, your drinking friends, they're going to hell." And he says, "Oh, they're going to hell, yeah. What about all my friends who smoke and put a bit on the horses? Yeah, they're going as well. What about the ones who womanize? Yeah, they're going to hell as well." Say, "Well, it sounds like all my friends will be down there. Perhaps that's where I want to go." But so the priest's argument didn't work too well. So it's not that devotional service is something kind of begrudgingly performed. It's joyfully performed. In the beginning, it might not be joyfully performed because we're still thinking in terms of I, me, and mine. I am the Lord of all I survey. This is, and we think in terms of my and mine, what is mine. Even children, they don't have to be taught how to be possessive. They're just naturally possessive. You see a child, right? 2-year-old, 3-year-old, it has its toys. And then its little friend comes over to play with them and starts playing with one of its toys it's not even playing with. And, "Hey, leave that, that's mine." And you see a dog, right, or a pet. Pets, they become very possessive of things. The dog doesn't have to be trained to be possessive of its jurisdiction, which is guarding. Someone steps into the garden of this dog, it might even be a pup, but it's barking. Who are you? What do you want? Get out of here. That's what it's saying. And just like that morning walk, as of tomorrow, actually, Prabhupada will be giving class in the temple on a weekly basis. We used to do this years ago, and by request, we're going to start that again. But Prabhupada was on a morning walk with his disciples, and often, thankfully, they would record it, and we'd get the benefit of hearing these recordings. And you hear in the distance some little yapping dog coming up to, it must be coming down some driveway, it's getting loud and loud, yap, 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 yap. And then Prabhupada stops and turns around and looks at it, and then it runs away, and it's barking as it's running away. And Prabhupada mimics the dog's mentality. He says, I'm not afraid of you. Although I'm running away, I'm not afraid of you. So they had an interesting experience similar, actually, just down on New Road, which is one of the streets down there. There used to be this big Alsatian dog. If you walk down, the gate was, the driveway was raised and the gate was here. So this dog used to enjoy running up to the gate and barking in people's faces practically. It couldn't get past the iron gate, but it was really quite a aggressive dog. And it caught me off guard once, but because I was just walking past and it came right up, and I turned around and I shouted, Hare Krishna, and it stopped. And then its false ego came in again, it started barking, but I thought, I caught you. Because the holy name got through to the soul. I was thinking, you're thinking you're a dog, but you're actually a jiva, eternal servant of Krishna. And the holy name got through to you there, came through your false ego. So this is the power of Krishna's holy name. It reestablishes our real ego, just like Duty and Indra. They were acting out of false ego in a defensive attitude. But by Krishna's mercy, by the mercy of Kashyapa Muni, then there was some higher state of consciousness came around. And this is the simple purpose of the Hare Krishna movement, is to spread the chanting of Hare Krishna. Of course, we do so many chants and so many mantras and prayers, etc. But it's the Yuga Dharma, the religion, or the method of self-realization for this age is very, very simple, just chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And all the other rules and regulations which are there is simply to make it more conducive for our chanting, make it more auspicious. And not only is it auspicious and beneficial for us to chant, but if we take this chanting to other people, then it becomes even more auspicious. Normally, if you have something, you give it away, you end up with less. But when you give away Krishna consciousness, you end up with more. That's the spiritual equation. So sometimes the pseudo-spiritualists will say 1 and 1 is 1. But that's, no, 1 and 1 in Krishna consciousness is 3, 5, 10, 11. That's right. 1 and 1 is 11. So I remember back to Vaibhava Maharaj giving a class, and he said the first thing he learned as a bhakta, as a new devotee, was that Krishna can do whatever he likes. And nobody can check him. If we accept that, then that's a very big step, because we can give up our envy. We want to hold God accountable for the suffering in the world, or for our suffering, or for injustices, or whatever. But if we read Bhagavad Gita, the rules are given how we can live peacefully in this world, but we don't listen to them. And therefore, bad happens. And then we think, oh, why is this happening? Because you never listened. Just like a child. Referring to Prabhupada example, he had one son who wanted to keep on touching the fan. There was a fan on the table, and he wanted to keep touching it, and Prabhupada was saying no. And then finally he let him touch it. After he wouldn't listen to good advice, he just kept on wanting to touch it. So he let him touch it, and then it hurt him. He says, oh, you want to touch again? No. So sometimes this is what happens. And because we're eternal by nature, then we may go through so many different trials and tribulations, and it may seem like an eternity in this world. But we actually, when we get out of this samsara cycle of birth and death, and we reawaken to our eternal constitutional position, our eternal consciousness,
then we'll realize that even though it seemed like a very long time, it actually was almost nothing in eternity. I often refer to an example that before I joined, I used to work as a mechanic for some time, and one Friday afternoon I developed toothache and the dentist was closed, and I had the longest weekend of my life. Every moment seemed like 12 years or more. When you're in a lot of pain, time passes very quickly, isn't it? Very slowly. But when you're enjoying yourself, time flies. They say time crawls, time flies. So it's all a matter of perception. So when our perception becomes unencumbered and we become more in connection with our eternal nature, then we see the true value of this human form of life. Or conversely, when we utilize the value of the human form of life, then we reawaken our eternal consciousness. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Prabhupada explains that we think in terms of yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and therefore we lose our sense of eternality. So in fact, there is only the moment, there's only now. So if we use all these moments in Krishna consciousness, then at the end of this life, Yam Yam Vapi Smaram Bhavam, we'll remember Krishna automatically and we'll go to Krishna. Whatever we think of at the end, that's where we go. And that is the choice we have. Whatever is our future is up to us. We can make an informed decision, read Bhagavad Gita, try practicing it and see the results. So I'll just stop there. Any questions or comments? Ashish Prabhu.
From Baleshwar Prabhu. So he's saying sometimes we respond like devotees and sometimes not, and depending say circumstances and all. So can this lead to offenses when we are not responding like devotees, but dealing with devotees? So say instance, if some devotee tells, some devotee tells him something and he doesn't like it and doesn't take it in the right light, as in Krishna's teaching me, and he responds a bit differently. So is it like Vaishnava Aparad in that, or?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Baleshwar. So practice makes perfect. If our intention is to improve and we are seeing that we made some mistake, then we can always ask, if we feel we've made some offense, we can always ask someone to forgive us for that offense. This is why every day we practice this Vaishnava pranams. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripasindhabhya Parinam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. In the temple program, we do this every day, and we shouldn't just simply do it as some mechanical recitation, but we should do it with feeling and meaning, that especially if we feel we have done something particularly to an individual, then we can direct it towards that person. And also, if we feel we've offended someone, then the best way around that is to do some service for them. Do something that they don't just say words, do it by action. And then this way we actually are sincerely trying to improve ourselves. Sometimes we might commit some offense, and sometimes someone may commit offense against us. We're all practicing. We're all trying to improve. But as long as this is part of the process as well, not that we commit some offense and think, I better stop, better that I don't do Krishna consciousness because I might commit some offense. Do you want to see them off? Okay. Anything else? All right. Iskon Guruvinda ki, Sri Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari.